When Hollywood royalty meets modern media and all hell breaks loose. What happens when a 94-year-old Hollywood legend who survived decades in the spotlight gets ambushed on a daytime talk show by a host more interested in viral moments than honest conversation? The studio is bright. Too bright. The kind of artificial warmth that makes everything look friendly even when it's not. Clint Eastwood rises from the plush interview couch. His face is stone. Not angry. Just done. The audience gasps collectively. Tamron Hall's eyes go wide. Her mouth opens but nothing comes out. Security freezes mid-step near the stage exit. 3 seconds of pure silence. The cameras catch everything. Clint removes his microphone with deliberate calm. Clips it onto the armrest. Doesn't fumble. Doesn't hesitate. He turns toward the exit. Mr. Eastwood, Tamron's voice cracks. Clint, please. He doesn't look back. His footsteps echo across the studio floor. Each one measured. Purposeful. The walk of a man who's made his decision and won't be changing it. The audience sits frozen. Some have phones out, already recording. Others just stare, mouths hanging open. Tamron stands now, one hand extended uselessly. We can work this out. But Clint is already at the door. He pauses. Turns his head slightly. Not enough to make eye contact. Just enough to be heard. You wanted a moment, he says, voice calm as morning coffee. You got one. The door closes behind him with a heavy thud that seems to shake the entire building. Tamron stands there, frozen, as her producers rush the stage. The narrator's voice cuts through, but to understand how one of America's most respected actors ended up walking off a talk show, we have to rewind 48 hours. The screen flashes back. What did Tamron Hall say that made Clint Eastwood, a man who stared down outlaws on screen and critics of it, finally lose his cool? The invitation that seemed innocent enough. 2 days earlier. Manhattan. Morning light filters through the windows of a publicist's office. It's Tamron Hall, the publicist says, sliding a tablet across the desk. They want to talk about the documentary. Your legacy. 6 decades in film. Clint doesn't look up from his coffee. What's the catch? No catch. She's respectful. The show's got a good reputation. They all do. Until the cameras start rolling. The publicist smiles. Her team sent a list of topics. All approved. Nothing political. Nothing personal. Just your work. Clint finally looks at the screen. Scans the email. They always say that. So is that a no? He sets down his coffee. Set it up. But they stick to the list. First sign they don't, I'm gone. Deal. Cut to the morning of the taping. The studio buzzes with pre-show energy. Crew members whisper near the craft services table. It's actually him. Clint Eastwood. Here. Get a picture? Are you insane? That man doesn't do pictures. Tamron sits in her dressing room, reviewing notes with her producer. She's polished. Confident. This is supposed to be easy. We got the questions approved, the producer says. Documentary, directing philosophy, maybe some stories from the westerns. That's it? That's it. His team was very specific. Tamron nods, but something flickers across her face. What if we just ask 1 or 2 things that aren't on the list? The producer hesitates. Tamron. Nothing crazy. Just, we have to make it interesting. His people were clear. I know what they said. She closes her notebook. Trust me. Clint arrives exactly on time. Dark blazer, no tie, clean lines. He doesn't smile for the makeup artist. Doesn't make small talk with the assistants hovering nearby. His eyes scan the studio like he's sizing up a set. Calculating. Measuring. A production assistant approaches nervously. Mr. Eastwood? We're ready for you. He nods once. The walk to the stage is silent. No jokes. No nerves. Just a man who's done this 1,000 times and knows exactly what he's walking into. Or at least, he thinks he does. The audience applauds as he steps into the lights. Tamron stands, all smiles, extending her hand. Clint Eastwood, welcome. He shakes it. Firm. Brief. Thanks for having me. They sit. The cameras start rolling. And for the first 8 minutes, everything goes exactly as planned. So Clint, Tamron begins, leaning forward with practiced warmth. 50 years behind the camera. What keeps bringing you back? The work, he says simply. Always the work. That's it? Just the work? What else would there be? She laughs lightly. The audience chuckles with her. Most people would say legacy, or I don't think about legacy. I think about the next shot. Fair enough. She glances at her notes. Your documentary explores. Before we get to that, she interrupts herself smoothly. I do want to ask about something that's been circulating online recently. Clint's expression doesn't change, but his posture shifts. Barely noticeable. Just a slight straightening of his shoulders. There were some comments you made years ago about certain social movements. They resurfaced last month and those comments were taken out of context, he says, voice even. They always are. But don't you think, in today's climate, public figures have a responsibility to? I think public figures have a responsibility to tell the truth. He cuts her off cleanly. Not to perform for cameras. The audience goes quiet. Not silent. But quieter. Tamron's smile stays locked in place. Well, we're all performing a little bit, aren't we? Some more than others. The temperature in the room drops 2 degrees. A camera operator glances toward the control booth. The director leans forward in his chair. Tamron clears her throat. Let's talk about your relationship with Hollywood's new generation. Some have called it complicated. Have they? You've been critical of certain trends. CGI overuse. Franchise fatigue. I've been honest about what I see. That's not complicated. But when you call modern filmmaking lazy, isn't that? I didn't say lazy. I said safe. What's the difference? Lazy means you don't try. Safe means you're afraid to fail. He leans back slightly. Hollywood used to take risks. Now it just takes money. That's a harsh assessment. It's an accurate one. Tamron shifts tactics. Her smile tightens. You know, some might say you're stuck in the past. That your view of cinema is. Some might say a lot of things, Clint interrupts quietly. Doesn't make them right. Fair point. She glances at her notes again. Flips a page. I want to ask about your political donations. Over the years you've. That's not on the list. She blinks. Excuse me? The topics your team agreed to. Politics wasn't one of them. I'm not asking about politics specifically. Just about. Yes, you are. His voice stays calm. Dangerously calm. And we both know it. The audience shifts uncomfortably. A few people pull out their phones. Tamron's professional mask slips for just a second. I'm a journalist, Clint. I ask questions. No, he says, meeting her eyes directly. You're a talk show host chasing ratings. There's a difference. When respect dies and egos collide. The studio feels smaller suddenly. Hotter. Tamron's jaw tightens. With all due respect. That phrase, Clint interrupts, usually means the opposite. I think you're being unfair. I think you invited me here under false pretenses. I invited you here to have a conversation. No. You invited me here to ambush me. Your team sent a list. You agreed to it. Now you're ignoring it. He gestures toward her notes. So who's really being unfair? Tamron's hand moves to her earpiece briefly. Someone in the control booth is talking. Fast. She ignores them. Clint, I understand you're uncomfortable. I'm not uncomfortable. I'm disappointed. In me? In this. He waves a hand vaguely at the studio. All of this. The pretense. The setup. You could have just been honest from the start. I am being honest. These are legitimate questions. They're tabloid questions dressed up as journalism. The audience gasps. Someone in the third row whispers loudly, "Oh my God." Tamron's cheeks flush. I don't appreciate. And I don't appreciate being lied to. Clint's voice stays level. Controlled. That's what makes it cut deeper. You know what your problem is? Please, enlighten me. Her tone drips sarcasm now. You forgot that respect isn't optional. You think because someone sits in your chair, you own them for 20 minutes. You think you can ask anything, say anything, as long as there's a camera recording. I'm doing my job. Your job is to have a conversation. Not to prosecute your guests. I'm not prosecuting anyone. Then what would you call this? He gestures at her notes again. You're digging for dirt. Looking for a slip-up. Something you can clip and post in trend with. That's not. It is exactly that. He leans forward now. Not aggressive. Just present. I've been doing this for longer than you've been alive. I know the difference between someone who wants the truth and someone who wants a moment. Tamron opens her mouth. Closes it. Opens it again. You want to know what I really think? Clint continues. I think somewhere along the way, you forgot why people tune in. They don't want gotcha moments. They don't want cheap shots. They want real. And this? He gestures around the studio. This isn't real. You don't get to tell me. I just did. Silence. Heavy and thick. The audience is split. Half are nodding. Half look horrified. Tamron's producer steps onto the stage edge, waving frantically. She ignores him. Mr. Eastwood, she says, voice shaking slightly now. I think you're overreacting. I think I'm reacting perfectly. Can we just, she reaches toward him, not physically but gesturally? Can we start over? Go back to the documentary? No. Please. Let's just. We're done here. He stands. Not quickly. Not dramatically. Just stands. Like it's the most natural thing in the world. Tamron's eyes go wide. Clint. He reaches for his microphone pack. Unclips it. Sets it carefully on the armrest. You're not seriously. I am. We can edit this. We can. I don't want you to edit it. I want you to air it. Every word. He turns toward the exit. Clint, please. Her voice cracks. Genuine panic now. Just sit down. We'll talk about the documentary. That's it. I promise. He pauses. Looks back at her. You had your chance. The walk that broke the internet. Clint Eastwood walks. Not storms. Not stomps. Just walks. Deliberate. Unhurried. Every step measured like a beat in a song. The cameras follow him. All 4 of them. Operators scrambling to keep him in frame. The audience sits frozen. Phones out. Recording. Whispering. Oh my God, is this real? He's actually leaving. Someone stop him. But nobody does. Security takes a hesitant step forward. A producer waves them off frantically. You don't manhandle Clint Eastwood. Not on live television. Not ever. Tamron finally finds her voice. She stands, one hand extended uselessly. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. But Clint stops. Right at the studio door. The entire room holds its breath. He turns. Not all the way. Just his head. Just enough. You wanted a moment, he says, voice carrying across the silent studio. You got one. Just not the one you expected. Then he pushes through the door. It closes behind him with a sound like thunder. Tamron stands there, hands still frozen mid-air. Her mouth opens. Closes. Opens again. Nothing comes out. The audience erupts. Not in applause. Not exactly. More like chaos. Half of them are talking. The other half are frantically typing on their phones. One woman in the second row starts clapping. Slow. Steady. Another joins her. Then 5 more. Within seconds, half the studio is applauding. Not for the show. For Clint. For walking away. For refusing to play the game. The other half sits in stunned, uncomfortable silence. Tamron's producers rush the stage. 3 of them. Talking rapidly. She can barely hear them over the noise. Cut to commercial. Get him back. Do we have legal on the phone? She just stands there. Shell-shocked. One of the cameramen keeps filming. He's not supposed to. But he does. This is history. Messy. Uncomfortable. Unscripted history. Tamron finally speaks. Her voice is small. Shaky. We'll be right back. But everyone knows they won't be. The interview is over. The audience keeps buzzing. Some still clapping. Others arguing. He was right. No, she was just doing her job. That was incredible. That was disrespectful. Backstage, Clint Eastwood walks past crew members who parked like water. Nobody speaks to him. Nobody dares. He retrieves his jacket from the green room. Puts it on. Smooth. Calm. His driver is already waiting at the back entrance. "How'd it go?" the driver asks. Clint slides into the seat. "About like I expected." The car pulls away. Inside the studio, the chaos continues. But Clint Eastwood is already gone. Moving on. Unbothered. As always. When one walk becomes a cultural firestorm. The clip goes viral in 47 minutes. Someone in the audience posted it. Shaky phone footage. Bad lighting. Doesn't matter. Within 2 hours, it's on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Clint Eastwood walks off Tamron Hall trends worldwide by dinner. The internet splits immediately. One side erupts in support, finally someone with the guts to call out fake journalism. This is what integrity looks like. Respect the legend. Memes flood in. Clint's calm exit paired with captions, "When someone wastes your time. How to leave a toxic conversation." Big legend energy. The other side defends Tamron, "She was just doing her job. He can't handle tough questions." Old man yells at cloud energy. Think pieces appear within 24 hours. Did Tamron Hall cross a line? Why Clint Eastwood's walk-off matters. The problem with ambush journalism. Cable news picks it up. Morning shows debate it. Everyone has an opinion. The clip hits 47 million views in 3 days. Tamron's show ratings spike. But not for good reasons. People tune in hoping she'll address it. Hoping for an apology. Or a defense. Something. She says nothing. Behind the scenes, chaos. Her team goes into crisis mode. PR firms get called. Lawyers review footage. Producers argue in closed-door meetings. Do we apologize? For what? Asking questions? He had an agreement. Agreements aren't legally binding. This isn't about legal. It's about optics. Meanwhile, other celebrities quietly cancel upcoming appearances on Tamron's show. No announcements. No drama. Just cancellations. 3 A-listers in 1 week. The message is clear. Industry whispers spread fast. Don't cross someone like Eastwood. Hollywood remembers. Clint himself? Silent. No statement. No follow-up interviews. No social media posts. His silence is louder than any response could be. One reporter camps outside his production office. Gets ignored. Another sends emails. No reply. Clint Eastwood has said everything he needed to say. He did it by walking away. And that walk, that simple, deliberate exit, becomes the story. Not what Tamron asked. Not what he said. Just the walk. And the door closing behind him. Some moments don't need words. This was one of them. The lesson Hollywood should have already learned. So what do we learn from the day Clint Eastwood walked off Tamron Hall Show? Maybe it's this. Respect isn't negotiable. It doesn't matter if you're 94 or 24. Hollywood legend or first-time guest. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. And when that dignity gets violated for ratings? For clicks? For a viral moment? Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stand up. And walk away. Clint Eastwood spent 6 decades building a reputation on honesty. On integrity. on refusing to play games. He didn't break that pattern for a talk show. And maybe that's exactly why people respected his exit. Because in a world where everyone's desperate for attention, for their 15 minutes, for trending topics, Clint reminded us that some things matter more. Self-respect. Boundaries. Truth. Those things are worth more than any viral clip. Tamron Hall learned a hard lesson that day. So did her producers. So did anyone watching who thinks a camera gives them permission to forget basic human decency. Because at the end of the day, this wasn't really about politics. Or journalism. Or even ego. It was about one simple question. How do you want to be remembered? As someone who chased the moment? Or as someone who stood for something bigger? Clint Eastwood made his choice. The door closed behind him. The world watched. Debated. Argued. But the man himself? He was already gone. Moving on to the next thing. Unbothered. As always. What would you have done in that moment? Would you have stayed and fought? Or walked away with dignity? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more stories about the moments that define us, the confrontations that reveal character, hit that subscribe button. Because respect isn't just earned. Sometimes it has to be demanded.